This is Rob at Tribe Titan Digital Marketing, and today I'll be performing a search engine optimization teardown of NorthShore Sports in Crystal Lake, Illinois, to see if I can uncover what's limiting their online growth and what they can do today to get more traffic, more leads, and more revenue for their business. So if you're a two-way or tactical brand, pay attention and take notes because this video is for you. All right, so for this SEO teardown of NorthShore Sports in Crystal Lake, Illinois, we're going to start with the homepage and really look at this from a top-bottom perspective. So immediately at the top, we see the location, which is Crystal Lake. We have the address, and we have the hours of operation, and a little bit on the right side, we have a phone number with a local area code. These are fantastic local SEO signals. If you are a brick and mortar organization and you rely on things like Google Maps, or you want to rank well for terms that include the phrase near me, having these local signals embedded into your website design, in the header, in the footer, in the copy, is going to be a very important strategy for you. And so right off the bat, we see that NorthShore Sports is hitting a home run, at least on the local SEO from the template from the top. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look at the bottom of the page where the footer is, and we're going to see here that, yep, we also have phone number and the address again. So we're just reaffirming that we are a local business. And once again, if you are a local business and you want to appear in the search results for Google Maps or terms that include the phrase near me and other similar words, you definitely want to have these local signals part of your website build. So once again, NorthShore is doing fantastic on those initial local signals. So let's keep going. So next, as we look at the menu for NorthShore navigation, we can see the top right, we've got About Us, Become a Member, Shop Online, Contact Us, the range waiver, as well as some social links. Right below that, we talked about the phone number as well as the email address for sales. But to the left of that, we've got another menu. It's actually a larger menu, visually speaking. Range rates, classes, membership, shop online, locations, gallery. Some of that sounds the same, right? We've got shop online, membership. So we're doubling up on a couple things here. So that's from a user experience, web design, best practices point of view. You know, we want to get this resolved. There should really be one main menu. And having things that drop down and are nested inside, perfectly acceptable. That's the best practice of it. But you have two menus going on here. Unnecessary, so I would definitely recommend you clean up your menu structure and have one main menu. So next, let's talk about our visual first impressions. So assuming that we're a user, we're in Google, you know, we type up, say, gun range or gun shop in Crystal Lake, Illinois. We click on this listing, we come here. Visually speaking, with our eyes, do we know what this company does? No, we have no idea, right? We're immediately hit with a pricing sheet. There's no visual connection of what the organization does. And so the concern from my perspective here is going to be an increase in your bounce rate, meaning somebody clicks from Google into your website and they immediately leave. They don't engage, they don't click, they don't scroll. They come in, they immediately bounce out. And so right off the bat, we're serving a poor visual experience for these visitors. So one of the things I would recommend is moving this price range or re-strategizing, you know, where you would put it or how you incorporate it, right? Just throwing it out there real quick, what I would actually recommend is up here on your range rates, I would almost change the font, the style, the color, maybe even turn that into a button so that it stands out. So when somebody's here, oh, I see this red element over here, this navigation, oh, cool, range pricing. That way we're not wasting space on our homepage, right? And so my recommendation here is to reimagine and reincorporate how you embed this pricing rate. Now, as I scroll down the website past the price range, we see this image of the outside of the building. Now, this type of visual setup is more associated with a typical website. You know, we would have this right below the navigation at the top of the page. This is what we typically see. This is more along the lines of a best practice. The concern here is that the image used is the outside of the building. Now, as nice as this picture is, it by no means connects that user, visually speaking, with your products and your services. So the recommendation here would be to change the picture out with something that is more in line with the Second Amendment and tactical, meaning pictures of the firing range, your products and your services, your employees helping out customers, anything that creates a much stronger visual representation of your products and services. As I scroll even further down the website, what we get next are these nice content blocks that have a much better visual representation of products and services of the organization. We can see here now we're making that visual connection into firearms and a range. These are the types of images that I would want to see up higher on the page. So the unfortunate part here is that visual connection in regards to what this organization does not connect with that user until you've already scrolled about halfway down the home page. So from a user experience perspective, we're not hitting the mark at all on this. And so, really updating these images and creating that visual connection, the strong visual connection for that user is going to be highly encouraged for NorthShore. Continuing down the homepage, we're getting into some nice content here. Why choose NorthShore, Premier Fire Range, great. One of the things that is missing here inside the content is going to be from that local SEO perspective like we talked about earlier. So if the content can be updated to include more of that local or geo, Crystal Lake, Illinois, McHenry County, even surrounding areas, even the northern suburbs, even the northern suburbs of Chicago, we can add in these signals that really help increase our likelihood to rank well for these more local based terms. So we're going to keep scrolling down here. Yeah, and we can see that's fine. Everything's looking good. Where we start to fall apart here, once again, is this section right here. And we've got these really weird looking content blocks, whatever you want to call them, really. And the concern here is that this would appear to me to be an issue with the template itself, whether there is a plugin, because this is a WordPress site, so it's possible that there's an outdated plugin. It's entirely possible that it's just a neglect of maintenance. Either way, as a user, this is a poor experience because it's just right out confusing, because words 1, 2, and 3, it's not here. You have empty blocks here. And just to kind of pour salt on the wound, let's say I'm curious and I want to click join today. Let's do that. Why did I go to the top of the page? Okay, that's kind of weird. Let's go back down. Okay, unlimited range time. I'm not sure what this call to action would be. I'm going to click it anyway. Okay, it brings me back to the top of the page. Okay, obviously things are broken. We've got these blank areas here. Top of the page, right? So there's a obvious issue with the template and the way that the links are connected here. So that is another area that NorthShore would want to kind of button up, is go through their template here and kind of figure out what's supposed to be here, what's not supposed to be here, and get this cleaned up sooner than later. Because once again, this is affecting your user experience. Users are coming in, they're saying, wow, this is a mess. I'm going to go somewhere else. And that's going to start over time decreasing your placement inside Google, because Google is only going to show results in websites where people are actually having a good user experience, where people are getting the information they're looking for. You're kind of giving them a reason to leave and go somewhere else. So that's unfortunate. So definitely clean up this template. All right, let's keep going and see what we got next. So as we go past here, okay, we've got this more banner style image. Membership include, okay, a link. Okay, so we're back to the footer like we talked about. We've got the local signals, the address, the contact. We've got the navigation at the bottom here, which is great. It's kind of taking up a lot of space. That's just pet peeve kind of thing. It could probably be, buttoned up a little more cleaner, but it's there, which is great. And then all the way down at the footer, this area is slight concern. This is, once again, me kind of picking it a little bit. But we've got the copyright is 2023. This is 2025. And so what this is almost implying to me is that the site has not been maintained for the past 2 years. And that's unfortunate as well. There's no reason as an active business that this site should be neglected for 2 years. Now, I'm not saying that it is, but what I'm seeing is that it is. Okay. So the last thing that I wanted to point out here in the bottom of the footer in the copyright section is actually these links. We've got some social links here. There's no hover overs. I can't click these, and so as a user, I'm thinking I should be able to click these, and I can't click these. Another weird thing here is the phone number. This is hyperlinked as well, but if I click the phone number, it's going to bring me all the way to the top of the page. I'm not sure what clicking the phone number is supposed to do for you, but the way that they have it set up just to go to the top of the page, I'm sure is not what they intended to do. So this kind of goes back to the broken template, the broken theme. You know, the links need to be updated, things need to be cleaned up. Now, since I'm here at the top of the page and we just talked about those social links, I just want to click these because whenever we bring a user to another domain, in other words, if we're going from our .com to someone else's .com or a social platform, we want to open up into a new browser. We don't want to use that same window because when we send somebody off our domain, we want to make sure that they still have access to our domain, meaning our browser. So if I click, we'll say Facebook right here. Okay, good. That opened up a new tab. Okay, Instagram opened up a new tab. Great. And then finally we'll do YouTube here. Great, opened up a new tab. So at least that's structured out properly, right? Like I was saying, we don't want to send people to, or we don't want to send people away from our .com entirely. So we want to have our tab open and open in a new tab when we send them off domain. As I perform these SEO teardowns and SEO audits, I'm always on the lookout for the presence of a blog because a blog is a massive opportunity to increase brand reach, reputation, and authority online. And ultimately, it's what drives your search engine channel, your organic traffic to your website, which ultimately turns into revenue if you're doing it right. And as I look at NorthShore's website, there's no indication, no presence of a blog. And so this really is a massive missed opportunity for the organization to excel their current position online. And once again, drive that traffic, drive those leads, and increase their revenue. So I highly encourage the NorthShore team to invest some time and some resources into the creation of a blog. Now that we've spent some time looking at the homepage for NorthShore and various aspects such as local SEO, your hyperlinks, your menu, your footer, all those good things we talked about, let's take a look real quick and see how Google is representing NorthShore inside the search results. And as I look at all the pages that Google has on file, meaning the index pages, we see here the items in blue, which are known as a SEO meta title, and the items in white right below that, which is known as the SEO meta description. So both these are very important for SEO, but more so the title than the description. And think of the title as a clickable headline, right? And this is telling very important information about the page to the user, as well as the description. This is basically a summary of the page's content. And when leveraged and optimized properly with keywords and strategic phrasing, we can increase our rankings within the search engines, as well as even add context that relates to call to actions or encourage a click from the user to come to our website. So as we can see here, the headlines that NorthShore are using are what I say would be no optimization, no SEO at all. So we have things like NorthShore CL Home, membership, gallery, classes. These are headlines. We should have much more strategic and specific headlines in here. And so for comparable purposes, let's take a look at another website. What we're looking at now are all of the indexed pages for a gun shop out in Loomis, California called Protection Plus Tactics. And so now remember, the items in blue are the headlines. So we'll start here. Shop firearms, accessories, holsters, mags, and more. I get it. California CCW classes, Loomis, Placer, Sacramento, right? We're adding in those geo identifiers. Great. Remember, local SEO for these guys too. Blog, firearms, self-defense news, tips, and more. Cool. Great. About Don, who's the founder. We've got firearm training and event calendars, Loomis, California. So you see, this is a optimized website. It has keywords, phrases, call to actions, identifiers, everything from A to Z. in their headlines and the descriptions. This is something that's missing from NorthShore's website, meaning that NorthShore does not have a SEO optimized website. So that would be on your to-do list, which is just to go through the process, identifying your keywords, working on your title tags, your descriptions, and optimizing your website for SEO purposes. Because without it, you're really allowing Google just to kind of do anything they want and show your results to anything they feel may or may not be associated, versus a site that's optimized like Protection Plus Tactics, where we're telling Google this is what the page is about, this is why it's important, this is who it's relevant to, and all these other factors at play. So Protection Plus has a much higher propensity to rank well in the search engines as compared to NorthShore, who has a much lower likelihood. What we're going to look at next is the organic traffic trending for NorthShore using a tool called SEMrush, which for those that are in the digital marketing and SEO industry, this is definitely a top tier tool that we use. So to my right, we can see here the organic traffic trend, meaning an estimate of how many people are coming to the website through search engines. And we can see in this past 6 months, starting in January of 25, the site has been in a 6-month downtrend, which is obviously not a good thing. As we expand this out to the 1 year mark, we can see here we have some, I'm going to use the phrase unstable fluctuations. And we kind of once again peaked September, October. So now I would say for the past year, the site has been in a downtrend. Let's expand this out one more time. Let's look at the 2-year view. And as we look at the 2-year view, we can see back in August of 23, we were in somewhat of an uptrend. We hit that peak like we talked about, end of Q4, early Q1, and we've been in a downtrend since. Now, these trends and the unstable peaks is really common and typical of a website that's not being maintained and really isn't being optimized, simply because we're not controlling things, right? If we were actively creating content, actively maintaining the website, providing good user experience, our organic traffic would be, the trend I should say, would be much more stable and we'd see a nice lift over time, right? We don't see that here. We see tons of fluctuations, once again, completely common in a website that is not actively being maintained and not actively being optimized. So this just validates everything that we were talking about earlier, meaning the need for NorthShore to invest whether time, resources, anything into the optimization of their website if they want to perform better inside Google and Google Maps to drive more traffic, drive more leads, and drive more revenue. Up next, I want to take a look at the Page Insights tool, which is basically a tool that pressure tests the user experience and the code in the back end of a website to determine if it's meeting the bare minimum requirements of what Google defines as a good experience. Like I said, is the page loading properly? Is it loading quick enough? Are there any issues with code conflicts in the back end? So as we can see here, we have the assessment has passed, which is awesome for desktop site, as well as the mobile site passed, which is fantastic. The area of concern now becomes that the initial assessment is almost the equivalent of asking the question, does the car start? Sure, NorthShore's car starts. 2 thumbs up. However, the diagnosis aspect down here of score of 47, this is where we're getting much more granular, meaning under the hood. So yes, the car starts, great. But as we look under the hood, it turns out you've got a bad transmission, you're leaking oil, and your belt is squealing like a pig, right? So those are the areas that we need to address. So once again, fantastic. Pat yourself in the back. You're meeting the bare minimum requirements. However, under the hood, there's room for improvement. Now, the cool thing about this tool is you can share this with your web team, your designers, your coders, whoever you have on your team, and they can go through this report and really understand where there are areas of improvement where they should be spending their time and resources to enhance the user experience of the site, whether that's with the code, with the images, whatever it happens to be. This tool literally tells you where your issues are and where you need to fix them. So I highly encourage NorthShore to share this type of information with their team and get these resolved as quickly as possible, because the overall user experience is very, very important for Google. So if you take a site that has good user experience as compared to a site with bad user experience, Google will always prefer the site with better user experience, hands down. So these are all the little things and related to SEO, meaning that think of SEO as a pie, and each slice of the pie is a different aspect of SEO. User experience, these page speed tests, that's just one slice of the pie. Your local SEO, that's another slice of the pie. The way you hyperlink, that's another slice of the pie. Having blog content, that's another slice of the pie. Your navigation menu, that's another slice of the pie. Your meta titles, slice of the pie. Your meta descriptions, slice of the pie. The more slices you have of that SEO pie, the better you're going to perform. So what we're identifying here through this teardown are all basically the pieces of the pie that are kind of missing that need to be filled in. So technical issues should definitely be addressed for NorthShore, and using the report and tools like this page speed is a great way to work with your team and get these issues resolved as quickly as possible. Next up, we are going to take a look at the Google Business Profile page for NorthShore Sports. And a lot of areas that get overlooked with a lot of businesses as they maintain their profile here is the photos. And having photos is fantastic. Photos of the outside of the building, the inside of the building, employees, products, services, customers, all that stuff is fantastic. Highly encouraged, because you are, providing information to the people who come across your profile page. The part where we start running into a slight area of concern is how well and the frequency that you are maintaining things like your images. As an example here, we can see that the last image uploaded by NorthShore was over a year ago. And so the signal you're sending to Google is, yes, you have some images, but they're not current images. And Google loves new, fresh things, right? And so really what this is an opportunity for you guys to really step in and just share some new current photos, whether that's photos of the firearms, your displays, the range, even showing pictures of your employees, helping customers. These are great things that you should actively be putting on your profile page. And once again, it signals to Google that you are actively up to date and maintaining your profile. But B, it's actually showing a lot to your customers, because everyone wants to know, things about your business, especially the photos. It says a lot about the organization. Not that what you're doing is bad, but what you're doing could be better. It could be stronger. So I highly encourage you to go ahead and start adding some photos. Now, the second part here that I want to look at is going to be along the lines of the reviews. So NorthShore has 4.6 out of 5-star reviews, which is fantastic. The area here where a lot of businesses overlook as well is going to be with commenting on the reviews. Typically what we see is when a customer makes a negative review. That's when a business steps in and says, oh, well, whatever they want to say, whether they apologize, they defend, whatever it happens to be, they just reply back. So that's what we see with NorthShore here, is that negative review, comment, negative review, comment, negative review, comment. Okay, that's pretty typical. But where most people go wrong is when we look at the good reviews, and we go highest review. Positive review, no comment. Positive review, no comment. Positive review, no comment. Positive review, no comment. And the list goes on. So what you should be doing is going through your positive reviews with the same enthusiasm that you do in your negative reviews, and thanking these people for their comments, and thanking them for their business, and thanking them, because these 5-star reviews, and actually any positive review, regardless of the star, is really helping you establish your brand and your reputation within your local community. Because imagine for a second if you had a 3-star review. So someone's out there saying, I'm looking for a gun shop or a range in the Crystal Lake area. And they're going through their phone and they go, oh, here's 5 businesses. Are they going to start with the guy who has a 3-star review or the guy who has a 4 or 5-star review? So these things say a lot. Now, I know you can't control the number of stars that people give you, but what you can do is control your response and your reaction to them, because a lot of times, and I see it in a ton of different business industries, is you just get angry people, especially in restaurants. Like, a fly landed on my food, I'm never returning. Okay, dude, there's nothing that the owner can do about that other than apologize and say, we'd love it if you could give us another chance, right? So people read these reviews, whether negative or positive. So really, once again, like the photos, staying on top, being active, showing Google that you're maintaining your profile is going to be sending very strong signals. In other words, giving Google additional reasons as to why they should continue to show your business up higher within their search results and within Google Maps. So moving on from the reviews themselves, we scroll down here, right? The information appears to be complete. Address, phone number, hours of operation. Great. We've got a description for the, great. Profiles. There's 2 here. I did notice on the website you also had YouTube, so I would recommend you add a 3rd for YouTube right there. And then for the profile, the only other part that I would encourage you to do, which I don't see here, is really it's what Google refers to as basically like events, right? Think of it as almost a promotional / microblog section where Google is literally allowing you to promote products, services, events. Let's just say that you're having a special class or any class. We'll say you have Saturday as a CCW class. You can create an event in your profile and help promote that. And in the sense of A, getting more eyes on it, but B, being more visible, right? And once again, showing the community that you are engaging and active with your profile. Once again, all this is sending these trust signals to Google with our goal of increasing your likelihood to rank well, once again driving more traffic, more leads, and more revenue. So a couple things to work on here on your Google profile page, but all in all, it's probably one of your stronger suits when I compare it to like your website template and things like that. So far you're doing a pretty good job here on the Google Maps. Just a couple things to button up. All right, so there you have it. That's our search engine optimization teardown of NorthShore Sports in Crystal Lake, Illinois, where we identified actually quite a few opportunities and wins that they can implement today to start driving more traffic, more leads, and more revenue for their business. So if you have any questions and you want to talk about your website, you can find me online or visit me at tribetitan.com.